Hey guys, it's meteorologist Alan Smith in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm going to go over a weekend forecast here for Easter weekend 2020. It's Friday, April 10th, about 12:45 p.m. Let's start out by taking a look at the current upper level pattern. We can see this trough of low pressure located over Southern California. This really isn't going to impact our weather at all. We do have some energy up here to the north in Canada. This will eventually become a player this weekend. Let's take a look at the current satellite image. We can see it's nice and clear over the northern Rockies and the Jackson Hole area again today. You see these little white splashes. This is pre-existing snow cover that's showing up on visible satellite. Current temperatures as of, this is about an hour ago, so this would have been around 11:30 a.m. It was still a chilly 40 degrees in Jackson after starting out in the upper 20s this morning, but I suspect it's warming up significantly given that it's the middle of the day now. We're going to get into the low 50s for highs this afternoon, so not quite as warm as yesterday when we were up around 60, and that's going to be a result of some increasing cloud cover later this afternoon. Rest of the state, it's a pretty nice and mild day. Central Wyoming, we're generally in the 50s to around 60 in Lander, 63 in Cheyenne. Let's take a look at the national scale. This is the Storms Prediction Center's thunderstorm outlook for today. You can see nothing really going on up here and pretty quiet across most of the country except in South Texas. Saturday, we're actually expecting at least a slight chance of thunderstorms up here in the northern Rockies and Jackson Hole. Sunday, as the cold front comes through, that opportunity for storms is going to diminish around here. But take a look at the southeast U.S., where we're going to have a significant threat for severe weather. We're already at a level 4 out of 5 risk across Mississippi, Alabama, and level 3, level 2 risk extending farther out across the southeast as well. And there's going to be the potential for some strong tornadoes in this area on Easter Sunday. So if you have friends and family living in this area, give them a heads up, encourage them to stay attuned to the situation. National scale, let's take a look at forecasted precipitation over the next 7 days. As you can see, the eastern half of the country is going to get quite a bit of rain, but then we're going to see a good bit of precipitation across the spine of the Rockies as well. Much drier across the west coast. Southern California is seeing some lingering rain today, but then it's going to dry out across the west. If we look closer into the northern Rockies, this is Jackson Hole and the Tetons right here. So we can see not a ton of precipitation expected over the next week. We are going to see a little bit, but most of the action is going to be happening east of the Continental Divide. So the Wind Rivers, Absarokas, Bighorns, up towards the eastern slopes in Montana as well. Let's take a look at, this is similar to what we looked at earlier. This is Friday afternoon, upper level, trough of low pressure over Southern California. Starting to see high pressure weakening over the northern Rockies as this next trough starts to drop in out of Canada. We look at Saturday afternoon, we can see this next weather maker, this trough is dropping in from the north. It's going to be ushering in some unsettled rainy weather, snow for the high elevations, and some much colder air looming to the north as well. It's going to start out a little bit cooler on Saturday, but the real cold air will hold off until Sunday. If we take a look at the temperatures, this is around 10,000 feet of altitude, 700 millibar. So Saturday afternoon, we can see the core of the cold air is filtering into Montana, still a little north of our area. But once we get into Sunday, the cold air has very much spilled into our region, and we're going to see much colder temperatures on Sunday. The way our temperatures are going to progress, Saturday we're going to be looking at highs in the 40s in the Jackson Hole Valley. On Sunday, we're only going to be getting into the low to mid 30s for highs, which is about 20 degrees colder than average for this time of year. Let's look at precipitation. So Friday evening, we'll start to see maybe a few showers working its way into the Yellowstone, Teton region, but not a whole lot overnight, just some light snow showers in the mountains, rain showers, valley. Saturday morning, more of the precipitation is going to start to fill in as the core of the system approaches. Snow levels are going to be right around 7,000, 7,500 feet during the day on Saturday. So this is mostly going to be a rain event in the valley, but then the higher up you go, we'll start to see more snow. Saturday evening, the cold front moves through and we'll see a sharp drop in temperatures. But with the temperature drop, the precipitation also starts to taper off. So we're likely going to see a brief round of snow in the valley. But since the cold air will be trailing the moisture in this situation, it's not going to be a whole lot. We might see a dusting in the valley, but I wouldn't expect a whole lot. Instead, east and northeast winds are going to be leading to an upslope effect east of the Continental Divide. So central, eastern Wyoming, this is when you're going to start to see your snowfall. And of course, the cold air will be coinciding with the precipitation there. So most of Wyoming's going to see a widespread accumulating snow event out of this as we head into Sunday, while things will be starting to dry out around Jackson Hole. Let's take a look at the jet stream pattern for Saturday afternoon. We can see this jet streak dipping into southern Idaho, and we'll be in the favored left entrance region here in Jackson Saturday afternoon. So we can expect our heaviest showers to occur probably late Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon before the best energy progresses farther south later Saturday night. This is looking at moisture and winds at mountaintop levels. So we can see the greatest moisture is going to be loading up across the eastern side of the Continental Divide in Montana, where we have these northeast upslope winds. We are going to have good westerly winds during the day on Saturday, which is favorable for precipitation in the Tetons. So we are going to see a good round, but the core of the moisture is going to miss out on us on this round. Another thing to watch for on Saturday afternoon is the potential for isolated thunderstorms. I don't expect us to see widespread thunderstorms, but this is a measure of convective available potential energy known as CAPE, and we are seeing a bit in eastern Idaho and parts of western Wyoming Saturday afternoon. So don't be shocked if you hear a rumble of thunder or two. I'm not expecting anything significant, but it's always just a sign of the change of seasons, and we saw our first thunderstorm of the season last Sunday night, so we know that it's a possibility. Now let's look at forecasted total precipitation across the region. This is over the next 72 hours. We can see, once again, eastern slopes, Continental Divide, going to see the most. Tetons could see a decent amount, though. And this is an interesting product from NOAA that's measure of it's a measure of winter storm impacts, so minor, moderate, major, or extreme. And I tend to agree with this. We'll see minor impacts over the Tetons, Teton Pass, mainly Saturday evening. And then higher impacts the farther east you go, where you're going to be having colder temperatures, more snow, likely some stronger winds too out on the plains. Here's forecasted snowfall amounts by a blend of National Weather Service models. You can see they've got us in the 6 to 10 inch range for the Tetons. I personally think that's a bit high based on the models I'm looking at and the drier air moving in Saturday evening. I'm expecting about 3 to 6 inches in the Tetons above 9,000 feet, and in the valley, pretty minimal amounts. But you can see some of the eastern ranges in Montana and Wyoming, we could see potential for double-digit snowfall totals, especially the Bighorns. This will be a good storm for them. And then the plains of Wyoming and even into Colorado, we could see up to several inches of snow heading into Sunday. So beyond the weekend storm, we'll start to dry out some on Sunday. The main core of this trough of low pressure is going to start shifting east of the area by Sunday night. So we're still going to be in the cold pattern getting into Sunday night and Monday. And it'll be interesting to see how far temperatures drop Sunday night. I think at the high elevations, so at the Jackson Hole Tram weather station, we only have data going back about 22 years in the month of April. We didn't start recording data there until about the late 90s beyond April 1st, but it's looking like we could set some cold temperature records up at that station Sunday night. In the valley, it's looking like low teens for lows on Sunday night. We may have just enough cloud cover to prevent us from getting really cold, but even so, this is still going to be a very chilly air mass for mid-April. Looking into early next week, Monday and Tuesday, on Monday in particular, we could potentially see some light snow showers or flurries in the mountains, but overall, it's just going to be cool and dry. Tuesday, we're going to start to warm up a little bit. Then Tuesday night, we can see this next little weak disturbance dropping in from the northwest, and this could bring some light snow mainly into late Tuesday night and Wednesday. And at this time, it looks like temperatures would be cold enough that we wouldn't see any rain in the valley. It would probably be some non-accumulating snow, but then possibly some light accumulations Wednesday morning. But this is still a ways out, so we'll see what happens. Overall, it's not looking like a real impressive system, just some light precipitation amounts overall. So let's take a look at our 5-day temperatures. We can definitely see the downward trend up to about 53 Friday afternoon. Friday night, warm enough air mass with the cloud cover will stay above freezing in the valley. Mostly a rain event during the day on Saturday, possibly some wet snow mixed in at times. Then the bottom drops out Saturday night into Sunday, where we're going to be about 20 degrees colder than average before warming up a little bit on Tuesday. And here we go. Temperatures at 9,000 feet in the Tetons. We're going to be looking at warm day on Friday, well above freezing again. Could create some wet slide activity in the mountains. And then Saturday, cooler, highs around freezing at 9,000 feet, bottoming out Saturday night, Sunday to Monday. These are very cold temperatures for this time of year. And I know not a lot of people are not getting up into the mountains right now, given our COVID-19 situation. If you were out skiing, this would be like midwinter conditions. And then Tuesday, we start to warm up a bit. And here's 5-day precipitation outlook. So we've got probabilities on the left, and then I've got intensities to kind of give a heads up. So Saturday is definitely going to be the wet day of the weekend, tapering off to just some light snow showers and flurries on Sunday. I really don't think it's going to be much. Of the 2 days this weekend, Sunday will definitely be the nicer day. Not much wet or snowy conditions to deal with. It'll just be a bit colder than what we've been experiencing. And same on Monday, and then Tuesday night is when we could start to see that next system move in. Snowfall amounts on the Tetons, Saturday, 3 to 6 inches. Otherwise, just some light amounts through early next week. And taking a look farther out, this is NOAA's 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. And good news for those excited about warmer weather is we are going to start to see a warm up towards the end of next week and into the following weekend, and actually favoring a little bit of a bias towards warmer than average temperatures. And average temperatures in mid-April are in the mid-50s, so we could see some nice weather by the end of next week returning, whereas colder temperatures shift into the eastern half of the country. And moisture-wise, it's looking pretty dry in the extended forecast as well. Most of the moisture also shifts into the eastern U.S. and a bit into South Texas as well. So bottom line is we're going to see a last gasp of winter-type conditions returning this weekend. But then once we get through about early to middle part of next week, as we head into the second half of next week, we should start to warm back up again, see some sunny, nice spring-like weather. So that's all I have for you. Thanks for listening, and have a great weekend.